Okay, so there we go. Hi everyone, welcome to NYN Design. My name is Kimberly and I'm your instructor for today. So starting off with what we have in front of us, we have an 11 by 14 size canvas over here facing long ways. We also have a fan towards our left section over here. If you have an outlet nearby, you can use a hair dryer. That we are going to be painting in layers, so this is important so that we can finish with the first layer, move on a little bit quicker to our second and third, and so on, right? And that way we can finish our painting nice and properly. Next, we have our pencil. I'm using a lead pencil. Doesn't matter what kind of pencil you use. I have a towel, some water. I have my brushes. These are the brushes I use for all my classes. We have our large background brush, our medium square brush, our round tip brush that comes to a point, and our detail liner brush, okay? So that's our fine tip point one that we have right there, okay? I'm gonna have my hair dryer on my right hand side, ready to go. Um, so let's get started. Okay, so just as a reminder, I do like to talk about the consistency of the paint before the class. The colors we're going to be using today, these are the final components that we're going to be using. We do have to pay attention to the color's thickness, so I am going to be talking about the water. But the colors we're going to be using today are going to be green, blue, black, yellow, white, brown, and red. Okay, so this is going to be a really rustic, nice, chocolatey, you know, thick, warm piece that we're going to be doing. It's going to be some nopales with a brown background. So again, we were talking about how thick this is. Uh, we're going to be using our brush to pick up some water. Our brush really absorbs the water a lot, so we want to make sure that we can squeeze all the water out of our brush when we mix it into our colors, okay? We don't want our waters to be super runny yet. We do paint in glazes. That's when your paint is super watery and see-through. That forms its own purpose. We're not going to be using that. We're looking for the paint to be nice and creamy and thick for this painting, okay? So we don't want it to be sticky. If it's sticky or wasting too much paint, that means you need more water. If it's sticky, it means it's thirsty. If it's runny and it's all over the place, it needs to dry up a little bit, which means you need a little bit more paint. Okay, so that's what we're going for. We're not wanting toothpaste, we're wanting sour cream, nice and soft. Okay, so we're picking up a little bit of our water. Okay, I like to tap my brush a little bit on my towel to the right over here, just to make sure I get any excess water off. I'm going to come into my brown section and I'm going to squeeze out the water from my brush into that brown. Come back, you know what, I'm going to pick up a little bit more water. That's not enough water. Okay, so I'm adding some of that water in there. And the color that we're looking to get is going to be a nice creamy red yellow, okay? So what does that mean? That means that not only am I using this water to make sure that I soften the brown, but it means that I'm gonna have to start adding some colors to it. So I'm gonna start with adding yellow first. So we get a sandy color. Okay, we don't want it to be bright. We just want it to be a little bit more caramel. Okay, so there we go. We got a nice sandy color. See that? Next, we're gonna add a little bit of this red in here. We want to give it kind of like an orangey look. Okay, so we're going to need to add a little bit more yellow if it starts to get too red. And we're looking to achieve an orange color. Kind of like a mustard, if you will. A mustard brown yellow. Okay, so I'm maintaining all my color in the middle. I may mix some more yellow. I'm pulling yellow into it until I get that mustard that I'm looking for, maybe a little bit more red. Okay, remember I'm saying we want an orangey brown. And we have our colors right there. We have our yellow, we have our brown, and we have our golden color in the middle. So we're gonna start painting with this golden color, starting with the darkest sections towards the left, coming down, making sure to just kind of go smoothly down. We're not looking to leave marks, but if you happen to leave some here and there, that's fine. There's nothing bad with that. We're not looking to, it's not really part of the plan here. But again, if you happen to, that's not a problem. Okay, we're coming in, we're spreading this color out. We're starting to lay this color on the canvas. Okay. I'm gonna add a little bit more of the darker brown that I haven't mixed yet. I'm adding some water to it, and I'm gonna use it just to kind of add like an accent color to it. You can totally come in with a little bit of red to also add some red to it if you want. If that's your style, you don't have to. You can stick to just the orange color that we've been doing. So there's no pressure there. Okay. So I'm going to let you guys kind of just play with this background. The more you start to get towards the right-hand corner, the more we start to add a little bit more yellow and even start to incorporate a tiny drop of white. So we start to get lighter. You see this? More of like a lighter caramel. So this is what we are going to be doing here. It's going to be darker towards this side, lighter towards the bottom, and we're going to be kind of merging them. When you merge them, you bring the colors back and forth, which means that your darker color, for example, right here, it's merging, is going to have to in some way go into the lighter color, right? And your lighter color is going to have to kind of go into the personal space of the darker color. Not too much, but at some point, one of the colors starts taking over. In this case, it's going to be a little bit of a lighter color, right? Because we're wanting to get a little bit lighter as we decrease sides and as we start to go towards the right. Okay, so let's keep this going and let's just enjoy our time. Keep it up. Some of that darkness coming down towards the right. Remember to keep it nice and vibrant by keeping that yellow alive in there still. Okay, we want the yellow to still shine. We want it to still look bright. See that? Don't forget to mix in the yellow even in the darkest sections. So now picking up our round tip brush, we are going to be picking up some of this dark green. We're going to add a little bit of water to it. And we are going to be adding some blue and a dab of black to it just to make it a little bit darker. That's going to be the bottom layer of our cactus. From there, we're going to start to add a little bit of the plain green. Okay, so we're picking up the plain green and we're starting to kind of blend it in next to our dark green here. We're going to make a little line that goes up. Okay, so from here, we're going to go, this is about maybe half our canvas right here. So right here, we're going to kind of add some of that dark green, but we're not really going to mess with it on this side yet. Okay, so just kind of make a little triangle of lines coming out that way. Okay, so next, after we grab that green, we're going to pick up a little bit of white and we're going to start to mix it into our green blue. Okay, picking up a little bit more blue. There we go. And we're picking up some of that white. And that's the color that we should be getting. You see that? Sort of like a minty green blue. So here, we're going to start to add that color over the top. And we're going to start to use the corner of our brush. Again, it's going to slide if you have the water consistency right. Try to make sure that your paint is nice and smooth. Okay. From here, I'm coming in towards my right section, and I'm also drawing another little cactus coming down. And I'm going to start to scratch it into my dark area. Again, when I'm trying to merge my colors, I go back and forth. Okay. If it's darker towards the bottom, eventually the darker side starts to take over a little bit. Wherever you want it to be lighter, that's the color that starts to take more presence. Now we're starting to get that white. Make sure you pick up a little bit with your brush. Make sure that your brush is not too wet. And kind of just scratch it over the top so that it looks kind of old and kind of rusty or kind of hairy. You kind of scratch a little bit of that white over the top there. And it starts to get that very light, airy look. Again, come in with a little bit more of that white. And here we go. You can even come back with a little bit of that normal green in the center to kind of blend both colors together. And there we go. We have one part of our cactus done there. Next, moving on to our right, we're going to continue to use those colors to create these cactuses again. The shadow color is going to be green with blue and black. Okay, and the highlight color is going to be green with blue and white. And our mid color in the middle is always going to be a green. So again, I'm coming in with that dark color that we did. That way it's nice and wet and ready to be blended. Our piece right here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to actually add some of that dark line to the left. Just a little bit. I'm going to come in with some white, play with that color, adding some white to it. Our nopales are kind of a gray-green blue, if I'm kind of explaining myself. Since we are using this black with blue and green, and then adding just some white to it to get the nopal color, we are kind of getting like a blue hue. The green is kind of in there somewhere, but the color that pops out the most is that off green, minty, like teal color, right? So anyways, from here we come out to the center point. Come back with our lighter color. Come back with a little bit of white even, start to kind of scrape some of that white on like we had originally to the other side as well. And you can come in and sort of just straighten out your piece. On this side as well, we're coming in. Okay, we're coming in with some of that white. Okay, so we're beginning to scratch that light green over the top again. If you want to go over it with some of that white and just scrape it over the top. Again, that is something you can do on the other side once that side dries. Again, don't fill up your brush with the color. Just add a little bit and then scrape it off with whatever is left over on your brush, and it'll add this nice scratchiness over the top of it. I'm going to come back and continue to add that towards the left section. And we're going to come back with some of that white, and we're going to start to add some sections that are a little bit more white than others. Right now that our paint is nice and wet. See, I'm starting to kind of focus on this section here. Okay, and then again towards the bottom, it's that green blue with a bit of black. And we're going to start to kind of work that in. Okay, so again, we're coming in. As you can see, we're starting to get that lighter cactus look. Okay, so we're going to continue to build this. Okay. And then I'm going to be moving on. You're going to see me kind of make some bigger ones. Okay, from this one actually towards the right has sort of a bend that we're not really adding on here. Let's do that. So this one kind of is coming off to the side and then bending this way. So we can go in there with some of this color and kind of move it, which is why I say that there's never, it's never too late for you to come in and fix it, Here, I'm coming in with just my detail brush, and I'm going to begin to just kind of lightly scrape a line here. So you can tell that that's where the division is for my cactus. I'm also going to get a little bit of that dark blue with black, and very lightly I'm going to start to just bring it over to the right to make that line just a little bit more pronounced. We want to make it stand out a little bit more. I'm even adding in a little bit of paint into that side. So then from here, we're going to go up and we're going to start working on a shape that's over here towards the left. So I'm going to come in with my round tip again. Make sure that it's got a little bit of water on it. And I'm coming in with a little bit of my dark green, which was my green mixed with blue, mixed with black. Okay, so from down here, I'm going to draw a line from the pit coming off to the right. There's still some distance left from the space on the left. It's coming up to the left, curving towards the right, going up. It almost looks like we're drawing a heart, except that we don't dip in, we just keep going straight. Okay, and then we come around and we connect it right here. Okay, so this section, notice there's still space right here on the side. We have space on the left. So there's still plenty of space here. We're going to start off with the bottom as we did previously. The bottom is the shadow. So we are going to be actually leaning this into that side a little bit more. Here's my shadow color. Here we go. And I'm going to start working my shadows into this nopal. And I'm going to start to play with it the same way we did with this. Again, it was my dark color, my mid color, which was my green, and my highlight color, which was a little bit of white added to all of that. Moving to our left now. From here, we're going to be doing a round cactus. I'm coming in with my darker color first. Okay, from this section, I'm going to come up and I'm going to bring my cactus, and it's going to be sort of coming out of this section up here. From here, I'm bringing it back down, and I'm kind of keeping it right there. See that? And I'm going to go in a little bit with that dark color. My darkest color is going to be on this section towards the bottom. And as I go up, I need to get it a little bit lighter. we are going to come in again. It's our green with some blue and black. And we're going to start to draw a bigger cactus off to the side of it. So we're going to come down a little bit. Notice that we're still not on half of our canvas yet. We're still on the left side. Okay, and from here, we're going to come out quite a bit. And we're going to start to go into the right side of our canvas just a little bit. See, we're starting to make it come out. From here, we're going to do a straight cut towards the left. And we're going to go all the way down. From there, we're coming down. We're going to do a little hill. And then we're going to curve. See that? So this is a tiny little cactus on top of this big one. That is what you're looking at right there. So we're going to start off first with our dark blue mixed with our green. And we're going to start on this side. And you're going to see me that defining this small cactus. And I'm going to start to define this larger one as well towards the right of it. Okay, so this one still going to come with some shadow around it. Okay, and we're going to take some time to work on this cactus before we move on to our next one. Okay, so we're continuing to paint this cactus still. We're beginning to work in our highlight. We're going to begin to start scratching it in towards the center there, blending it slowly, decreasing our pressure. We're making sure we're going very lightly over it. Hopefully your green is still nice and wet there so that when you come in with this color, it blends in nicely. So hopefully your guys' green is still nice and wet. Okay, so again, very light. Remember, when we're trying to blend, we don't press as hard. We're gonna come in with a little bit of that water, wash off our brush, and we're gonna come in and just pick up a little bit of that black. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of that black towards the side here to really make that shadow be more emphasized. I'm going around towards the bottom here as well, starting to scratch it just a little bit. So you come back with that black. Start to add some on the sides there. You can also come back and add a little bit of that black towards the bottom here. Kind of just to create more of a division, more of a shadow. Same thing down here. You can add a little bit more of that black. Okay, maybe add a little bit of water to that, just so that it becomes a glaze and it doesn't leave really hard marks. Okay. Okay, and there we go. There's one of our cactuses right there. Again, if you want to come in with a little bit more of that dark green, and if you want to apply it more towards the left, feel free to do that. There is a little bit of shadow there that does stand out in the painting that we're copying. But again, that is completely up to you. Okay, I'm adding a little bit more of that shadow down here, making it a little bit darker. All right, so from here, we're going to be moving on to the right-hand side. Okay. So on this right-hand side, we're going to come in again. We're working with our dark green first, some blue, green, and black. Here we have our line coming down. We have a little, kind of like a little dip there. From this dip, we're going to have a bigger dip towards the right. And that dip is going to come straight down. You see that? Kind of like a little potato. We're angling it towards the right, facing down towards the left. Right here, we have another little pointy round piece. And on the right, we have another oval long piece. And this is all going to be part of a cactus as well. So I'm going to go in and fill this in, and then we'll move on. We're coming back in with our round tip brush. Add a little bit of water to your black, get it nice and soft. Make sure you don't have any excess water lingering around in your brush. And we are going to come in and begin to just place these little dots over the top of all of our cactuses, or cacti, more like cactuses. All right. And we're going to come in with this black. We're going to start to do that to all our cacti. Okay, to the right, we're gonna add some dots to these cacti as well. Cacti, I keep wanting to say cactuses. Okay, anyways, so you add the dots to these remaining ones, and then we'll be moving on. The color that you use is going to be a light gray to bring the color out of this. So we're going to be mixing a drop of black into our white mixture. So just a drop of black into our white. We're wanting to make a light gray. To this light gray, we're going to add just a little bit of maybe some green. There you go. Make sure you add plenty of white to that. There we go. Let's add some water too so that this lasts a good amount of time and we don't have to keep making this color over and over again. Okay, so now coming in with that light gray, we're going to begin to pick up our brush and we're going to start to do some lines coming out of these, just random ones. 1, 2, and we're just going to have some, then they're going to be pointing down for the most part. Okay, so we're going to have maybe another one this way. So this one right here has 2, this one has 1. And we're just going to keep that up all the way down. We're going to be using our round tip brush again. So let's go ahead and pick that up. And we are going to be using today the colors orange and red. We're going to start off first with our yellow. Okay, we're going to be picking up some of this yellow. And we're going to be drawing in some flowers. So we're going to start off first with these tiny little ones. We're going to get some of this yellow. Let's pick up a little bit of this red on the side and mix it in with our yellow. We're trying to make an orange there. Awesome. So now we have an orange and we have a red. I'm washing my brush off. And I'm coming in and picking up some of this yellow first. Okay, then I'm picking up a little bit of this orange. And I'm going to start to dab that color around these two sections right here. Okay, over here in the back, we're going to have some of that red and orange as well. Let's come in with some of the yellow. And then I'm going to get some bright red in there too. That red really stands out, super pretty on there. Nice and thick. There we go. Okay. So then starting right here at the center, bottom right-hand corner, we are going to start off at this bottom corner. We're coming in first. We're coming in with a little bit of orange, maybe a little bit of red. And we're going to start off by making these little flower tips there. Again, we're grabbing some of that orange. Put a little bit of red on one side. Maybe put a little bit of yellow on the other side. See how we're starting to make that nice and colorful? Next, you're going to pick up some of that yellow, maybe even some white. And we're going to make one big swoop down. Next, we're going to make another swoop down right in between both of them. Next, another swoop down in between that one. And another one at the end towards the right. So if you want to come back, you can grab a little bit of that white, kind of just to make more of an impression. There you go. If that orange in the back doesn't stand out, you can come back with a little bit more. Make it just slightly bigger if you want to. Right in the bottom of these, we're going to come in with a little bit of that orange. And we're going to start to paint the bottom of this with some of that orange to make it blend in a little bit with that background. There we go. Okay. Next, towards the center, we're going to have a total of 3 right here. The first one is going to be in this little gap over part of the shadow of this one. So we're coming in first with a little bit of that red and yellow. Okay. And we're going to make the back section first. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to make the tops of these just a little bit lighter. Why? Just to play with the colors a little bit. Put more of that red. Okay. Again, this is what it looks like. This is the bottom of my canvas right here. Okay. So from there, we're going to be grabbing that yellow and white again. Okay, some of that yellow and that white. And we're going to make one big swoop. 1. Here we're making one there, 1 there, and 1 there. Again, our color is our yellow. But if you decided to add just a little bit of white to make it stand out, that's perfectly fine. Again, towards the bottom, you're going to see a little bit more of that bright orange or red color going up. Okay, so we're coming in with that yellow. And we're coming in with that orange underneath. A little bit more of that yellow. Bringing it into the bottom of my flower. Okay, so there we go. Next, right above that, we have 2 bigger flowers. So starting off here, we're going to have some of that yellow. Back here, we're going to have one big one kind of stuck on this area. Right here is 1. Then on this section, we're going to have a big one sort of just right here. And that one's going to be a nice full one. Here's another one. Okay. So let's come in. First, we have our yellow higher at the top. So we can come in with our yellow and maybe some white. Okay, next we're picking up some of that yellow and red, and we're going to put some of that light orange beneath it. We're trying to kind of make it look as if it has a shadow right underneath. And we can even kind of blend it up a little bit. Come back with that yellow. Okay. And we're going to work on these flowers a little bit before we move on. Okay, so this is what our flowers are looking like so far. We're still going to continue to work on them. Okay, I'm still going to continue to add a little bit of some orange down here. Once this begins to dry a little bit, I'm going to start to add a little bit of an orange highlight or shadow, more like a shadow actually, into this section. Okay, and here we go. We're starting to curve off to the right there. We're doing the same thing down here, picking up a little bit of that orange. We're starting to slide it in below, picking up a little bit of some of that red. Same thing down here. We're starting to come a little bit with that orange. And we're starting to kind of scrape it on a little bit at a time. Right here in the center, we're trying to get it a little bit darker. You can even add a little drop of black to that, and we'll get a deeper, darker orange. Almost like a brown red. There we go. And that orange is going to stick right to the bottom down here. Okay. So there we go. We have those two flowers there. We're still going to continue to work on them in a little bit. But moving on, we have two more flowers there. So we're grabbing our yellow, we're grabbing our white. We're going to do one flower on this side and a larger flower. Okay. A larger flower. Sort of coming off of the top there towards the left. Here we have another one right in the center. And we're going to have those stand out because we're going to add a little bit more white to them, a little bit more orange. We're going to start having these colors stand out a little bit, these flowers on this section. Right here on this side, we have a little bit more of an orange. Again, towards the bottom, we also have some orange. Okay, so we're going to continue to work on these flowers. we're going to continue to work on these top flowers. It's a lot of blending for these to get the color the way that you want it to be. You would have known that these flowers would have taken the most time, right? So we're going to come back with a little bit more of this white. We're going to start using the white again to create sort of a separation as to where the highlight is going to be. Next, we're going to move on by adding a little bit of water to our white and applying that to the top right corners of our lightest sections of our flowers. We're going to go in and just dab some of that water, go around to every single flower, and towards the top or the right hand corner, we're going to go in and apply some white or some white with yellow just to brighten it up a little bit. We want to add a little bit more life to it. We want to make it a little bit more vibrant, and you do that by adding your white. You can always come back and do some touch-ups as well. I'm going to add maybe a little bit of some more shadow underneath one of my flowers. But that's something that you can take some time to do as well as we're going along if you have a little bit of extra time. Next, we are going to be using a black with green mixture. We're making a dark green, and we're going to begin to add the bottom leaf sections underneath our flower. So we're going to start with the top flower, make an underlying shadow beneath it, give it the effect of the flower leaving a shadow on the cactus. We're going to pull from left to right and kind of scratch it, scrape it towards the right and bottom section. Again, this is a shadow, so we are wanting to leave that effect behind. We are also going to go from the bottom towards the top. If our flower petal is heading towards the left, we're going to merge our line towards the left. If it's heading towards the right, we're going to merge it towards the right. And if we're going straight up, our line is going to be straight up. We're going to start with thick pressure, and then as we move our way up, we are gonna release our pressure so that we get a fine line coming out from underneath our flower towards the right. That's gonna give us a little bit more of a detail. You can also use some of this green just to add some simple outlines to our petals, just to separate them a little bit. This is gonna be able to add dimension. This is gonna give it a little bit of depth so that it looks like there's a little illustrative separation there with that green line. After that line, though, we are going to continue on these petals underneath and the stem of our flower against our cactus. You can also come back and add a little bit of yellow or white to that green to begin to add a little bit of a highlight beneath it too. Don't fully cover all of your petals, just kind of go inside the color, like if you're making a line inside of the shape itself. And just leave a little bit of quick highlights in there if you'd like to add that on. As we go along in our painting, I'm going to continue to add some highlights, some shadows, some outlines, and some more of that green shadow beneath my flowers as well. Now that we've done our flowers, we're going to move on to our background using our detailed brush, picking up some of that dark green. We're going to go off to the center and begin to just scrape up with a lot of pressure at the beginning, again releasing it as you go up, waving your brush to the sides to create that grass effect. We're going to go in between the flowers. We're not overlapping on our cactus and we're not overlapping on our flowers. We're just giving the effect of our grass being behind our cactus. The colors we're going to be using for this are going to be a dark green, which is going to be our green with black, our light green, which is going to be green with yellow or green with white. You can also use some aqua green or lime green, okay, which is green, blue, yellow, and white. That's aqua green. And you can use some different colors as well as orange, yellow on the tips of your grass just to add some highlight. And you're going to continue doing that all around your painting. Like I mentioned before, we are going to be using some lime green to create some green grass as well, some highlighted green grass. And we're going to be overlapping this lime green, which was green and yellow, on top of the grass that we put there previously. We are adding some layers of green, so if you'd like to dry your grass before you add the second coat of green, you can totally do that. Our grass again is going to be thick at the bottom, a little thinner on top, which means you slowly start to decrease your pressure as you go up towards the top as you're waving your brush. You could work on just making the peaks or just the bases. All grass doesn't have to be completely finished. So you could just kind of do the bottom and then kind of go in and do a bunch of tops, make it look as if there's some grass that's maybe not showing through. So that's what we're doing next. So I went in and added just a little bit more yellow and white to the tips of some of these leaves to add a highlight. Next, we're going to be using a baby blue, blue with white, to add some baby blue leaves also as a third layer on top of the leaves we left there previously, or the grass we left there previously. So just go over the top again. You want to overlap them and just have fun with these. Once we are finished, this is what our painting should look like. The final thing you have left to do is to grab your detail brush, pick up a little bit of white, maybe a little bit of yellow, a color that kind of goes with the painting we're working on. And on the bottom right hand side, you're going to come in and put your signature. After this, you guys are done. Thank you so much for joining me today, and be sure to check out my videos on my website. See you soon.